Hi, welcome back to Steve Koski Ministries. I'm Steve Koski. Today's an exciting day. I'm going to give you two in-spirit experiences, and these are just two that the Lord has given me. There are more, which I'll share with you later. But if you stay with me to the end of the video, I'm going to tell you why I'm giving these to you and the greater world now, as opposed to just some close family and friends that I've given to already. But hang on, and first let's talk about what I mean by an in-spirit experience. Now, we talked about dreams. When you go back and look at some of my videos, where a dream, if it's your dream, you can change it. But if it's God's dream, you can't change it, and you remember finite details. If it's a vision, same thing. You can't change it. You're seeing it. It's different than a dream, though. It's giving you different things, and to me, it's always meant for the future, about things that are coming to you in your life that you're going to see, or the world in general. But an in-spirit experience, it's not a dream, it's not a vision. And when I was given these, it wasn't though I was watching it, I was there, I was in it, I was part of it. And that's a big difference when you talk about how the Lord is showing you things, is when you're taken somewhere for him to give you what he needs to give you. So I'm going to go into these, and my computer ease, like you said, like I told you before, is not great. So I'm just going to use the thumbnail that you see on your screen now to show you, kind of give you a visual about what I'm talking about. And the first one we're going to look at that I'm going to give you is on the left-hand side of the screen here. You see a dark or a nighttime sky and a man standing below it with a spotlight. So let's get into it. This was an in-spirit experience that I received many years ago. So understand this. And when I say these in-spirit experiences, I usually always start it with, suddenly I was aware. And that's an in-spirit experience when you hear me speak it that way. In this case, suddenly I was aware, and I was outside standing in a beautiful nighttime sky like you see in the pic. Um, and I looked to my right, and that's going to be to your left, but I'm going to use my right. I looked into my right, and there was a star that was brighter than the rest, and it slowly began to move. The star began to move, and it came to a point where I understood was directly over my head. And I looked to my left, and now there's another star, not as quite as bright as the first one, but it started to move, and at twice the pace as the first one was moving, and it came to a position where the first star was. And as soon as that happened, a third star from way back, way in the back, from on my left that I was looking at it, was coming so fast that it had a light tail to it. It was moving beyond the speed of light, because light could not catch up to the star that was moving. So it came, and when it got to where the first two were, they kind of joined, and this spotlight, as you see in your picture, but it was different. It was just a tube of light that appeared next to me, about the size of a man's shoulders, about a big beach ball, and there's this big light. Now, when I talk to the Lord, I say, Lord, when you talk to me, please say it so I understand it. And he does just that. And in this case, and this is beautiful the way he said this, he said to me, as I'm looking at this tube of light, he said, give them a high five as they come by. You see, those three stars are angels. They were angels that were coming. And as the Lord said that to me, I turn and look into the tube of light, and I could see movement, very fast movement, just moving up and down in that tube. So I took both my hands, and it's to my right, but you're looking at it, it's going to be to your left, but it's to my right. And I put my hands into the tube, because he said, give them a high five as they come by. And as my hands are in the tube and I'm looking into that tube, my hands got warm. They were warm. So, and my hands are in there, and I knew the tube went down and went behind me, and it came up somewhere. And with my hands still in the tube, I turned to my left, and you're seeing it to the right, to look at where that tube went and where it came to. And it came down around me from my right side and came up to my left side, even with my head, because I was standing. And as I'm looking into that tube, the movement stopped. And very, very clearly, and with a deep tone, one of the angels spoke, and he said, "We're waiting for you." And it was over. Now that's wow. And when I woke up the next morning, it was like, wow, Lord, I had no idea what that meant, none whatsoever. But it has to do with the future. And when we get to the end of this particular videotape, I'm going to explain a little bit about that to you, about what's coming and how the Lord is interacting with me. But when this happened well way before we got here to Texas. We were still living in Virginia at the time. And all of these things that I'm giving you are in preparation for what's coming. So now, and I'm going to move my picture over to the other side, and you're going to see the second of the two in spirit experiences that I'm going to give you. You'll see here that two wolves, and the two little people here represent myself, would be the dark one, and Charmalie, my wife, is this other one here. And then an angel with a scroll, or in the case that I'm going to tell you, which was a piece of paper, and then a horse. And so let me do this with you. Let me explain this second of the two in spirit experiences. And this happens when I'm well asleep, and it's just boom, it's there. Suddenly I was aware, and I'm in a dark, not dark, but a kind of like moonlit forest, a dark gray night. Not quite night, not dark day, but it was gray. And there were these two massive wolves and I know I was holding Charmalie's hand, and I'm moving her along, almost like there was a wall behind us, and we're shuffling along with our backs to this wall, but looking at the wolves. These two wolves were looking for us, were looking for me. But while I'm holding Charmalie and we're moving along, these wolves are looking, and they couldn't see us. And I'm within 5 feet of the first one, who his head stood even with my shoulders. He was that big. Now understand, and I understood then, that these were two demons that were to stop me from doing what's supposed to happen. They were looking for us, but they couldn't see us. Why? We're going to talk about that in a minute. We were covered by the blood of Christ. So as I'm pulling her along and we're getting past these two, that scene suddenly ends. And the next thing that I know, I'm standing in front of an angel. He's all in white. He's very fair complexion, Caucasian. He has tight woven blonde hair, very short crop, but it was curly, and it wasn't very, very curly, but it was still a curly wave type hairdo. And I don't know what else to say. He was beautiful. He was really good looking. And when I looked at him, when the vision came in and I saw him, he's looking at me and he's smiling, and he's holding a piece of paper, or what you might call a scroll, but it wasn't scrolled up. It was kind of like a notebook piece of paper, not an 8 or the bigger sheet of paper, but the smaller kind, like a 6x9 or whatever that size is. It was a smaller piece of paper. He was holding it and smiling at me, and he reached out to hand me the piece of paper, and I took it. I took the paper, and as soon as I did, that scene ended, and we go over to here where back into this gray nighttime-ish sky, and I'm in a forest that has there are a lot of trees, but there are no leaves on the trees. And I'm looking, and in amongst this forest, there's a clearing, and in that clearing is standing this wonderful white horse that you see here. He was just standing there, and he was, I don't know about horses, but he was muscular. I mean, that young man had muscles. He was beef. you know? And I'm looking at this beautiful horse. But what really stood out, and I tried to draw it here in the picture, was his mane. It was not a normal mane. It was a mane, as we know manes of horses, but it was almost like a neon light. It was full of so many colors, and it was undulating. The mane kept changing colors. It was just kind of like a neon light that changes, and it kept changing. That was his mane. And I understood that was my horse that I and you, if you are saved by the blood of Christ, when we come back with Christ, we're going to be riding white horses. That's what they look like. He's a white horse with a mane that changes colors. And it reminded me of My Little Pony when my daughter was small. She had a little My Little Pony, and they had that, the colorful hair and all. But that's what that reminded me of. But it was way, way beautiful and way different. And that vision or that in spirit experience ended. Okay, so now when the Lord gives you these, it's always for a specific reason and a specific purpose. It's just never because. There are certain things that are coming to you and to I in this world that are soon to be. Now, back in the beginning of the video, I tell you, why am I telling you this now? That time for this son to be sent, I've been kept a secret for a long time. This secret son has been kept a secret for a long time. It's almost time for the Lord to stand me up and say, go. Now, how do I know that? All the things that have happened from the book that I wrote, Saving My Family, and further on, have all been training camp, have all been things that are leading up to the point where I'm to go. Remember back in the hidden manna or the secret verse in Micah, I told you about an experience that happened with us in the bed, Charmley and I, and an angel came and just bright light. And something happened. I didn't understand what it was. And then Charmley had a dream about me the next night that told me I had a tattoo on my left arm. I asked her, what did it say? She says, I don't know. I would go for my prayer walk, and the Lord told me what it was. It was the Hebrew verses that I had to find. The secret verse was written on my left spiritual arm. It's not there physically, but it's there spiritually. It is there. I guarantee you it is there, because Charmley saw it and she couldn't read it because it was in Hebrew. And all these things are leading up for what's to come. The good Lord told me to find the secret verse. I found it. It's there. I presented it, and I keep on presenting it in different ways. All these things are leading up to where this secret verse will be taken into the world, one, but it goes well beyond that, because 3 angels have been released by the Lord to do what he's going to do when he sends this son out into the world to do whatever it is that God has ordained me to do. And I will do it. I will not fail. I decree and declare before you right now, as the Lord sends me, I will do everything that I'm commanded to do by the Lord Jesus Christ. And it will be accomplished exactly as he says. I pray this. I need your prayers for that, because Satan has been attacking me for a long time. All those things have led up to this point, to where I'm now beginning to tell you, the greater audience, how he's worked with me and what's coming. Stay tuned, because I'm going to continue this. The 2 that I've given you today are the first 2 that I'm going to give you, because the Lord has shown me so many things that I'm going to begin to tell you about, add up to the why I know things are coming and how I'm to be sent. There are many more that I'm going to share with you. They'll be coming on future videos. So in the meantime, please do go to SteveKoskiMinistries.org. Like, share, and subscribe on whatever platform you're watching on. Please do that. Help me get this out into the world to the greater audience. Eventually it will, to great numbers, because anything that proceeds out of the mouth of God does not return void. That's what the secret verse is. That's what I call hidden manna. It's going into the world. It's coming. Please join me for that ride. Stay tuned. More will be coming. Thanks for coming. We'll see you on the next one.